What's going on, blue chips? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Not a bad one. Be reborn to your possibility every day. Let's get to it. Something to think about there throughout the weekend. Jason, Mr. Gifford, Short Shore, what's going on? How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys have started off your weekend nice, and hopefully I can help you continue that into the night, because getting that last little dose of the stock market is exactly what we're after here tonight. How we doing? Jason, what's up? How you doing today? A little dot there. Mr. Gifford, I guess, retracting a bunch of messages. Thomas, didn't see you up there. You kind of mixed in with the bot there. What's going on, man? How you doing? So where do we start? Where do we start tonight? I guess we'll start with a nice little cheers. Cheers to you guys. Have a good, having a good night. Vincenzo, nice. Definitely not going to be eating any pepperonis tonight, just because, you're apparently avenging me. Zishan, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, GDT absolutely killed it today. Everything he touched was just working. It was nice. I think it was like Tesla, BYND, EQT. He actually got shares on EQT. I was a little sad with EQT. We didn't get any shares when we tried to get in. That ended up going high of day. Look at that. We tried to get in at 41. Well, we tried to hit the bid at 40, and we didn't get any fill because it was on SSR. And then we hit the ask at 41, and we didn't get any fill. And then this thing dropped like a rock. So that was a little unfortunate. Yeah, I was a little bit late here. I had one of the kiddos woke up, so I had to go tend to him real quick before I jumped. I was literally about to jump on a couple minutes early, and then, of course, that happened. So hopefully everything else goes smoothly. He hasn't been sleeping very well lately, so yeah. So since we didn't trade today, and we didn't trade a lot, to be completely honest, let's go over our trades from the week. We actually only made 8 trades this week. 8 trades. What is that? What is that? Anyways, here is our, I guess I gotta zoom in even further here. There we go. And no, what did I hit? Back. And there we go. Alrighty. Let's see it. It's hiding behind me a little bit here. Let's see if we can move it up. You can kind of see it. So that's my P&L since the 2nd. Our week, this week, when was the 20th? So yeah, so the 20th was here. So we actually had a pretty good week P&L wise. Let's go take a look at the actual trades. Yeah, the blue drink. This is the same drink that we started off with last week, and I made it just as strong. This is, I'm not going to say my second one. Yeah, it's my second one. I drank one a little bit earlier. I'm preparing for the word drunk, apparently. Revenge trading sucks. Ended up minus 223 today. I'm sorry to hear that, Jason. Yeah. Journal. Write it down. What did you do that made you revenge trade? Remember the emotions. Write them down. That's why it's so beneficial to journal, so that you can try to write down things that you won't remember the next day or even next week or next month, so that you can go back and understand what you did, so that you can go back and fix those problems, right? If you have holes in your game, you need to fix them. Think of it like a professional athlete. If a professional athlete, just use an NFL wide receiver, for instance, his job is to catch the ball, run great routes, catch the ball, right? So if he's having issues catching the ball, what's he going to do? He's going to figure out why he's not catching the ball. So it's no different, guys. It's no different. Just step back. Don't overanalyze, but you need to really figure out what's making you do something specifically and fix it. It's that simple, right? And earlier on the stream, we were talking about tools. And a journal is such a valuable tool. You need to journal. Journaling is so valuable. Gaines, what's going on, man? How you doing? Last week, you missed last week. What is it? Oh, the drink. It is about this much rum, about this much blue curacao. Ha ha! I forget who was telling me last week that I was saying that wrong. It's curacao. And then the rest of it's pineapple juice. And it's so good. It is like one of the most dangerous drinks. Yeah, I keep forgetting to play those SSSR tickers. I normally just skip over them to short. You know, I usually do too. It depends on the move. But looking at the move that this thing made, that was a pretty good move. And I liked it. Just missed it. Plus, there was really nothing else moving at the time. So I was excited to try to get in, but it didn't happen. Yeah, if you missed last week, last week turned into some crazy stuff. I got pretty intoxicated last week. So, okay, so starting off, we'll start with PDD, which was actually a loss. The first trade we took while scaling up, and it was a loser. I do remember PDD very well. We hit the wrong button. Apparently, I never... Do I still have the chart? I do. So PDD, as you can see, we pretty much top ticked the thing, and then it said, nope, I don't want to work. So that one was a little unfortunate, but then we realized that we had top ticked it, and we jumped back in, and we ended up... The unfortunate part about this one is this was on Monday. We didn't change the DT and AT buttons. We totally forgot. We changed all of our other hot buttons, but we forgot to change these to the new risk. And so what we lost on that first trade, we actually only made half of it back on the second trade because we used the descending triangle button there. So that was a little frustrating to start the week off, but it was not a big deal. Which, as you can see here, scroll up so you can see it. So we lost 21 there due to, I think it was a 2-cent slippage, and then we ended up only getting 984 back because we still had the old risk there. And that was our day on Monday. We didn't find anything else. So then we moved on to Tuesday. Hey, look, it's EQT. I didn't even know that was the one that we played. So EQT, we played this one on Tuesday, and look at that, kind of a similar move like it made here. A lot lower though. Is that right? Yeah, I guess it is. Dang. This thing was up way higher on Tuesday.
I can learn to understand you much better if I can get familiar with the way you talk.
Okay, Cortana. So anyways, as you see here, this was pretty standard move. Top ticked it right over the whole $1.17. Thing came right back down, and we got our cover. So that was a pretty solid win there on EQT. Got the full 20, full risk there, full 1R. And the beauty of this, guys, is when we enter the trade, technically we are risking one to make one. But if you look at a chart like EQT here, let's take a look at the high. Come on. Is that going to let me scroll back? Okay, here's the... So 1716. We got in at 1704 with 50 shares. So that's $5.10? Yeah, something like that. $5.10. We only risked $5.10 to make $20, right? So we actually got 4-1 on our risk there. Because when this thing shoots right back down, we're going to be lowering it to our break even anyway. So technically, that is a 4-1 trade if you really want to look at it that way. But every time we enter a trade, we're technically entering with the idea of a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio at the current moment. So we actually ended up with a second trade on CNX that same day. Didn't mean to actually click on CNX. And this one was a pretty solid. I could have swore I added all these charts. I know I have the charts. Yeah, I remember I didn't add this one because I wanted it later in the day because I saw it continued. So another one, we kind of top tick this one, and we got our take profit there. Would have been a good one to possibly scale out of because look how far away we were from that previous resistance. I've started to notice that too. I'm going to start looking at trying to scale out no matter the share size if we are that far away from previous resistance. So it's something to keep in mind. And I did try that later in the week, which I'll show you. And CNX was kind of the reason I did that. So I only got a couple more here and then we'll get to some questions and stuff. So LABU, this was a loss. We actually pretty much broke even on this one because this was a weird one. I remember this one. And we had the move up. We actually had a pretty good entry, but then it shot right up and almost stopped us out, right? Our stop was at 40.12 and this thing kept testing 40 over and over and over again. And you can see it tested it 3 times over the course of 5-6 minutes. And then we finally got the breakdown. And once we started to come back down, I realized that we were early, right? So we didn't get the best entry. So 50% of the move was actually right here, but our take profit was actually further down. So we knew that we probably weren't going to get some fill. And so we moved we actually were going to move our stop to break even, but we didn't. But then I realized that we bounced off VWAP and we were in a very bullish candle here. The bottom of this red candle hadn't happened yet before I got out, and it looked like we were going to continue higher. So, and I've seen this pattern a bunch of times. You come back down, hit VWAP, and then you look to continue up. So I didn't want to ride this up and take the max 1R loss. So we ended up jumping out there, and no matter how I would have played this, we actually would have ended up with the same outcome. If I would have played the pivots, technically that could have been a pivot, came down, came back up, and then it actually did come back down and test this. And then when it came back up and tested it again, we would have stopped out there. Even if we didn't consider that a pivot the first time, the second candle could have been considered the pivot, and then it came back down and then came back up and retested it. So we would have stopped out there. And if we didn't stop out there, we would have stopped out over here because we never got down to our take profit. So no matter how we played this, we would have stopped out in the same spot, but I was mad at myself. And if you look, I actually wrote that in here. I exited on my emotions and not the pivot points as I should have. I did not accept the risk on this one, even though the outcome would have been the same. So I was a little mad at myself that day for this trade. But I mean, obviously I shook it off, but that one was a little bit of a frustrating one, even though the outcome would have been the same no matter what. So then we traded LYV 3 separate times on Thursday after LABU. And we'll take a quick look at these. They should all be on the same chart here. So the first one, what the heck? I put the wrong chart in there. Let's see, LYV, here we go. So the first one was pretty easy, right? Big move up, hit the top, got the move down, take profit, right? And then it was pretty spot on because this thing ended up doing a little ascending pattern here. Little flag, really big flag, and it ended up making a big move, right? However, we weren't really interested until it made a big break away from like VWAP and previous resistance. So here's our previous resistance now. You can see the yellow line we drew, and we finally broke away up here on these 2 big candles. Took the first trade, clearly we're early, pretty much went right through our entry, and we stopped out. Realized that we kind of felt the top up here at 41 as it poked through, jumped back in, and we ended up, oh yeah, that's what happened. So you can see there's 2 cover areas, cover arrows. This is where we tried to scale out because look how much area we still had down to this previous resistance. So that's what I was looking for. But unfortunately, it bounced right at our take profit area. So we had taken off the majority. I think it was like 60% of our shares, and it ended up stopping us out the rest at break even. So a little unfortunate there. And as you can see, it never really came all the way back down. It just kind of hovered around. But so a little unfortunate. The first time we tried to scale out with some shares, we picked the one that decided to be strong for the rest of the day. So it's going to happen. And yeah, so 1, 2, that was our 3 trades there on LYV. So that was my week. I only had 8 trades, but overall, since we started trading this back on April 2nd, we're up $122. This week was the first week we were 35 trades total. You can't see that. There we go. So down here at the bottom of the screen, you can see we're at 35 trades total. So once we get to 50, we'll be upping it to $30 risk and reward. So we were doing every 25. We started at 10. Now that we feel like we're doing pretty well with it, we upped it to 20 at 25 trades. So from 25 to 50, we'll be using 20. Then from 50 to 75, we'll be using 30. And then from 75 to 100, we'll be using 40. And if all is well, at the end of it, I plan to go to 50 so that every single trade that I take, I will be risking 50 to make 50. And we will also be seeing if the 2-to-1 would have worked. So let's take a look. So we got 35 total trades. So 13 out of those would have been 2-to-1. So let's do the math here. 13 divided by 35. So 37% would have been 2-to-1. So technically we would have made money. So 13, let's just say we'll use 50, or we'll just use 20 since that's our current risk. So 13 times 20. And then that leaves 22 trades times 10. Or well, that's wrong. So 13 times 40 and then 22 times 20. So 520 minus 440. So $80. Now let's see how many were winners with just the 1-to-1. Side, I don't know where this one is. Setup, nope. Symbol, mistakes, nope. Or nope. Status, there we go. Win. Okay, so 23 of the 35. So let's do 23 divided by 35. So we're 65%, which obviously we knew by looking at the journal. But if we do the math, 23 times 20, which leaves us with 12 times 20, 460 minus 240. So $220 versus only $80 if we would have been playing 2-to-1. So right now it's actually proving that we're better at trading with 1-to-1 than we are with 2-to-1. So, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see if I would be better off just trading 1-to-1 or if I would make more money trading 2-to-1. So as of right now, it looks like we are doing much better trading 1-to-1. So just a little update there on how the strat's going after 35 of the 100 trades. All right, let's catch up on what everybody's saying. Yep, make sure to like and subscribe. Click that bell next to the subscribe button to turn on notifications to let you know when I go live and post new videos. So what that will do, also when you hit that like button, is it'll get more people in here. And when we get more people in here, hopefully we'll get to 35 so I can give away some Balls energy drink. Please, pretty please. I've been trying to do it for weeks. Just need 35 people. Is it that hard? 35 people, 20 likes? Come on. Can you review how you define your risk shorting the front side of a move using 112 with ISW? So Joe, I can. Even though I'm not doing that anymore, I can still explain it. So the short and sweet and simple and all that good way to explain this is take your risk. Let's pull the calculator up here. Take your risk, and this is a way to get set risk for 112. Take the length of the move. So what I like to consider the length of the move is where the move looks to have started. So technically this thing started it here in pre-market. So 1233, the low of this candle. And then the high of the candle is 1345. And basically what you're doing in real time is you're calculating where the move. So I tried to get in at 1340 here, right? So that's when I was trying to get in. 1233 was the start of the move. So 1 point basically, right? I always round. I would round, 75 cents, $1, $1.25, $1.50. As you can see, that's what my hot buttons are now. So what you do, 1 point, right? Let's take the calculator. Say your risk is 100, right? Divide that by the point, right? You're going to get 100. So if you took 100 shares and this stock from the moment you got in at say 1340, let's draw some lines here. So say you get in at 1340. Fortunately, it's right on that line. it would have to go all the way up here to 1440 for you to lose that max amount of $100. So how do you scale in with 112 and keep that risk? Well, what I was doing is I was assuming when I got into a move that this could go at least 50% more than it has already. So what that means is you have a 1 point here. So I'm assuming if it wants to continue, the odds are it's going to continue to about another 50 cents, right? That's 50% of a point. So from 1340, you would be at 1390. So from 1340 to 1390, you have 100 shares to get into this position so that if it does for some reason go through this area, you still have a little bit of leeway because you would have had to have all 100 shares go to 1440 for you to hit that $100. So say, and what you do here is you just divide it by 2 and then divide it by 2 again. And you can do this for anything. I'm just using easy numbers so you guys can understand. So your first entry position would be 25. Say it pops through 1350. You want to add around 1375. You're going to pick these. You're going to try to feel the top. You're not just going to add because you want to add, right? You're still going to try to feel the top with these. So say 1375, it starts to feel toppy again. You hit the add again. Say it keeps going on that same move. Well, guess what? Now you still have the 2 part, which is 50. So you went 25 at 1340. Let's do this. 1340 plus 1375 divided by 2. Your average is now 1357.5. And then say you get that add right there at 1390. Or we'll say 1392 plus 1392. Divide that by 2. Your average is now 1374 and you're full size, right? So you are in 100 shares at 1374 with 100 shares, right? So this would actually have to go for you to lose $100 all the way to 1474 for you to lose $100, right? Your average is 1374. You have 100 shares. So to get $100 out of that, you have to go full point away from it. So 1474. So you're basically giving yourself a ton of room. That's not right. That can't be right. I'm doing math wrong in my head. What did I do wrong there? I know this number's right, but there's no way you can go to 1474. I mean, I guess you could, right? 1374. It would need to go a full point with 100 shares, or no, right? 100. Well, yeah, the cost basis is here. This is your average with those 3 adds. I'm doing something wrong in my head. You now have 100 shares at 1374, but you already have unrealized losses. So that's what I was not discounting. So at this point, you're already down. Because okay, here we can continue to do the math here. So sorry, I slacked a little bit. That first drink is kicking in. So good. Okay, so 1340 to 1375 is 35 cents. 25 times 0.35 is 875. Then we added another 25 shares, and those went to 1392. So that was another 17 cents. So 17 times 0.17 times 25 is 425. So 875 plus 425, and then minus that by 100. So we had $87 left. And when we hit that add at 92, so now we would have 87 divided by our average, right? 87 divided by 13.7475. Or maybe it's the other way, 13.7475 divided by 87. Is that right? We'd only have, that can't be right. Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we'd have another 16 cents, right? Okay, so our stop would be right above 14, like right there, 1407. So that's what you're counting on. So that's how you would scale in to the position. technically, right? Okay. Yeah, nobody should do math, period, apparently. But basically, how that you're always going to have your set risk. This way, you're not just always choosing a random amount. But so basically, what I'm saying, and you can be even more passive with this, and which I was doing. So if you take that full amount, I split the move in half, right? So if we actually just add this times 1 or times 2, whatever you want to say. So this moved a point, assume it's going to move another point. So now you can scale into it even differently. Because say you have the same 100 shares because it moved a point. Now you're assuming 100 over a point, and that's where I went wrong. That's why I was messed up, because I was basing it off of a point. Where if you just do 100 times 50 cents, which is what it should have been, you only get 50 shares instead of, okay, that makes more sense. Because if you're only risking it going 50 more cents, then that wouldn't, okay, that makes more sense. Did that make sense, or are you guys really lost? Because I feel like I explained that really badly. Let me catch up, and then I'll think this through as I'm catching up. Okay, whoop whoop, I made it. Jeff, what's up? If you feel like it, can you share how you decide what you call your setups in your journal? Yeah, I can. I don't know what you mean by setups, but we'll check. David, what's up, man? But we haven't been getting the pullbacks lately, so that will be hard with figuring the 1 to 2. Yeah, Thomas, I know. I'm never gonna stop keeping track of them, so we'll see how that goes. The last I would bring the cost basis higher. Yes, since it's double. Yes, correct. Yes. I was trying to use a 1 point window and adding within that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to somewhat explain. Yeah, the math was killing me right there. Yeah, I killed that, not in a good way. Okay, I'll go back through it then. Yeah, 16 cents after the last ad. So I ended up in the right place. It just how I ended up there was a little bit shaky. Okay. I've explained this in the past, and I think I was a little bit shaky on explaining it because I haven't been using it lately. But we're going to go through this one more time, and I'm going to nail it. Let me clear this. Clear memory. Delete. Okay. Here on EQT, started the move, 1233. When we were going to get in, it was at 1240. 1 point, right? It moved 1 point. If your risk per trade that you want to lose as a max is $100, that is what you would use to determine your share size. This is how you determine your share size. So take that 1 point that it moved, or let's just say it was 50 cents, just to show you the difference. If it was 50 cents, you would take your $100 and you would times it by 0.5. You get 50 shares. If it moved 1 point, you times it by 100 shares. If it moved $1.50, times 1.5, I'm doing it backwards. It's divided. God, I'm such an idiot. You divide. So these still would have been the same, right? 100. No. Yes. Okay. So I was backwards. I'm such an idiot. Let's start over. Okay. The shorter the move, the bigger your share size should be. So if it moved 50 cents, you take your risk, OMG, 100 divided by 50 cents, 200 shares. So your 112 would be 50, 50, 100, right? So you break it down half and then break it down half again. So 50, 50, 100. If you're risking off of a dollar move, it's 100. So your your shares would be 25, 25, 50. Let's say it was $1.50, 66 shares. So break it in half, 33, and you can do like 16, 16, 33, however you want to break that up. I always would round. So in this case, I would go to 70, break that in half to 35. That still doesn't make sense. So you can kind of go to where you can break it down however you want. It never had to be exact to me, but when you're using smaller share size, is kind of how it is. And then pretty much anything like over a certain amount, like I think I had a $5 button where I was literally only taking a few shares, but that's how you would do it, right? Because if it's a big mover like Tesla, or, just one that moves a lot, you have to have that wiggle room. Okay, so now we know how we get our share size, right? You divide the... What are you trying to do, Shore? What are you trying to do? I'll take a cheers here, but thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate anything. You guys know it all goes right back into the channel. Apparently I need to check myself in and go to some AA meetings so that I can host these things a little bit better. So, okay, now we know how we get our share size. Take the length of the move, you divide that into your risk amount. So just for instance, let's say we were risking $500 and it's a 50-cent move, right? Now we have 1,000 shares. You would split that into 250 shares, 250 shares, 500 shares if you're doing the 1-1-2. Okay, so now we know how we get our share size, and you can make hot buttons for that. You can make hot keys. You can do whatever you want as long as you know that that is the risk you're using. So how do we use that, right? How do we use that? What I was doing, and it would come out pretty well to right around my max risk, is I would take the length of that move and I would cut it in half. So if this moved 1 point and we were at 1340, another point from there would be 1440. So if our risk is $100 and we want to have our max risk at $100 and we divide that by 1, right? It would have to go a full point for us to lose that $100. So if we enter at 1340, this would have to go to 1440 for us to lose $100 in that trade. Get out of here. So what you're doing by scaling in, you're allowing yourself to go even higher. So I was right before that other time, because that makes much more sense. So we cut this in half. When I was doing the point is what I was saying. What I was doing to be even more risk adverse, I would keep this point level and I would still use the same share size. So I was taking 100 divided by 1, splitting it up to 25, 50. And then I was still using as if I was giving this enough room to go all the way to 1440. So instead of cutting it in half, I was giving it a whole point. But if you want to be really close with it, and what I found to work the best, you cut it in half. Cutting it in half would be right here at 1390. So what you're going to do is you're going to scale into your position with 1, 1, 2 as best as you can up to that area. And that's going to put you, it's never going to be exact, but it's going to put you right at that area of $100, right? And you're actually going to have just a little bit of wiggle room. Like you said, you're going to have like 15, 16 cents above that because you scaled into it, right? So that's kind of what it gives. It gives you the options to scale into the trade just in case you were a little bit early, where for someone like me, right? If I'm doing single entry, single exit, this moved a point, right? So if I use my point, I get 40 cents wiggle room. So if I was in at 1340 and this went to 1390, where you're looking to get your final ad, I would have been stopped out at 1380, right? And I would have had to look to re-enter. And as you guys saw, that happened twice this week, where I ended up getting stopped out and I did re-enter. But if you're scaling into this, you're giving yourself room to make it work, right? And I totally am completely fine with it, but I do feel you need to have that set risk every single trade on something like this if you're scaling in, because it can get dangerous really fast. And if you go back and watch my MTSI trade, my LYV trade, that'll be proof that they can get out of control pretty quickly. So that's how it works. Hopefully I explained that a lot better this time. So basically, you're basically defining a window to scale in with $100 risk equals $1 window from point of entry with 100 shares. That would be very risk adverse if you have the $1 window on a $1 move. What I'm telling you to do is determine the move and then cut that in half. And that's the window, because it's already extended when you get in, right? When you get into the trade, you're assuming that's the top, right? You don't really, I would never want to get into a trade and want it to go against me, right? That doesn't really make too much sense. And that was my problem. For a 1-1-2 to really work in the long run, you're going to want it to go against you a little bit so that you can get sized into the position. Because if you're constantly only getting 25% of your position, you're never going to make a lot of money until you really are scaled up, right? Because an entry position with 25 shares isn't going to net you that much. But, if you're up there where, say $1,000 is your entry, where you're doing 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, then you could do some damage with 25%. And your win percentage is going to be through the roof, because if you're nailing the tops on your first entry all the time, you're never even getting your second and third ad, which means you're just killing it. Your win percentage is going to be like off the charts. And mine was, when I first started out, I was trading 90%. My problem was, when I had something go against me, I was really bad at having a set risk like this. And I would always let it get away from me. And MTSI and LYV, I would be so used to winning that when a loser came along, I would just keep adding to it and be like, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And then, when it just doesn't come back, you're kind of screwed. So that's what happened to me twice. And that was kind of what led me to looking around within my strategy. And I didn't really change my strategy at all. My edge is still the same. I look for front side reversals. I still do that. I am focused on entry points more than ever, because now I am using a single entry method. Before, I was possibly scaling into these trades, but now I'm just looking for a single entry, mostly single exits as of right now. But the overall entry system that I'm using is still the same. The dog, yeah, I know, his nails are just ridiculous on these floors. Just put him up on the couch. He's good now. I can feel myself already topping out a little bit. Thanks for the info. My problem was the ISW scanner works so well. I've had two 2,300 plus losers. I've made money, so the hit isn't too bad, but I need to define my risk better. Gotcha. Yeah, the scanners are amazing. They really are. Isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy how scary good the scanner is at giving you these moves. And it does it well, right? There's a lot of people who are like, the scanners could do this, the scanners could do that. And it's like, well, it doesn't need to. What it does works. So I haven't traded since February of last year any other way. Every single one of my trades are right off the scanners. I don't wake up and go through pre-market watch lists. I don't do any extra work when it comes to scanners. Do all the work for me. Exactly. Yeah. You get too confident those moves will always come down. Yeah. And that can be a problem because it will blow up in your face eventually. We've all been there. So that's where defining your risk really comes into play. Unless you are, hey, Circuit, what's up, man? I didn't even see you in there until I just saw that. Unless you are nailing the open of the next candle and still risking to high of day like CAR. Yeah, CAR had a really nice move at the end of the day. I wasn't here. I remember looking at the chart. I was like, look at this. Grind, and then boom. And that's when it popped up on the scanner on this nice intense move. And then look at what it did. Pretty crazy. I was like reading what the bot said. And I was like, wait a minute. How can we not get 35 people in here? I feel like such a failure sometimes. It's like, I just want 35 people. What do I got to do? I got to start like taking my shirt off because you guys don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. Notification of payment received. What is this? That was from Shore. Appreciate that again, Shore. Seriously. You didn't need to do that, but you guys know I always appreciate the support. Last week, people were giving me too much support. Yeah, who was it? Was it Zishan that said he was going to start it off this week? I sure hope he doesn't. James, what's the weird? Oh, because of the shirt. Yeah, the truffle shuffle. I feel it, dude. I still have a lot of weight to lose. I kind of plateaued when I was doing the keto, but I definitely kind of stalled out where I'm at right now. You don't have to be quiet, man. That's the whole point of these streams, is for you guys to come in here and talk. As we're gathered as a community. We're all here to learn. So ask away. Okay, what is it? Can you go through your process on picking what stocks to trade? What is your criteria? Yeah, I can do that. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I missed out on Mr. Giffort's question. If you feel like it, can you share how you decide what you call your setups in your journal? So, real quick, there's really nothing special about what I call them. Let me, so I think, what are they? So all I do for each trade right now, as you can see, I had one called 112. I just put in that it was a one entry, and then I put in single entry as well. And the reason I'm doing that is because the new trades I've been doing single entry, and all the old trades I also put one entry. So for the new trades, I want to be able to click just single entry, knowing that it was the newer single entry type strategy. But overall, there's a bunch of trades back from when I traded 112 that were just one entry that I would like to still keep track of as well. And then, as you can see, like ascending triangle, descending triangle. If I do decide to try to exit with pivots, I'll do that. If I decided to scale out without pivots, I have that. If the stock was on SSR, I put that in there. If I stop at break even on the remaining shares, I put that in there. 2-to-1 would have worked. 2-to-1 would not have worked. So, I mean, it's really nothing special. It's just pretty much, I don't really name them anything funny. I just kind of do it and just write in there basically in layman's terms what I think it is. Yeah, it's just a good way to keep track of everything. I was going to, but need to pay off my credit card bills first. Yes, do that first. That is much more important. How about we get Tim to 15 likes? Oh, we're already close. Oh, we're actually there, I think, right? Because mine's always one behind. What's the chair you use for day trading? That's a good question. And then I'll get to your question, Joe. Let me, I'm pretty sure I bought this off Amazon. Let me see. It's nothing special, I'll tell you that. It is pretty nice though. It's got the it reclines all the way. Like all the way. It's like a full 180. And then it also has like the little kick out thing for your feet. So like if I'm like out in the middle of the room, I can kick it out. Yeah, here it is. So this is the chair. So this is the chair that I got. It's pretty nice. I like it. And then on the bottom, I actually put those rollerblade wheels. These guys. On it, and these were amazing. One of the best things I bought for the chair. It rolls like so smooth. It's nice. So yeah, that's that. It's not a special chair, but it's a nice chair. Balu, what's up, man? Dang, everyone's coming out of nowhere. Get out. All we need is 35. 35 and 20. Ty. Who's Ty? Nice. We have reached 22 viewers, 13 to go, and Tim gets out his money machine. What? I have a money machine? The checking my eyelids for cracks. Setting up the chair. Yeah, see, Thomas wants some balls to put in his mouth, so we need to get to 35 viewers and 20 likes. That's it. Okay, so process of picking stocks to trade. So this is actually a pretty easy one. Float is number one. It used to be 40 million was my minimum, but now it's 20. Just because I have the set risk parameters, I'm not too worried about float as much. I'll even trade lower than that if I have to. If something pops up and I like the chart. Previous resistance, extension away. And then, I mean, those are really the only two. And volume. Volume obviously is the third. So I'll say I always have the three things. So it's float, extension, volume. That's it. So on something like car, I believe the float was something good. Finance.yahoo. It was like 80, I want to say, maybe even more. This is actually Avis car rental. Their float is 48 million, so good float. As you can see, previous resistance right here, which right there. So if we scroll in, you can see that previous resistance went through, started to extend itself, and boom, look at this move. Beautiful move, right? The quick, well, I mean, I guess you could add that it has to be on the scanner, right? But this never hit the scanner until this move, so I would have never pulled this chart up until this move was happening. So there is that. So I guess float has to be, I mean, first and foremost, on the scanner, alerting. Then when I see it's alerting, check the float, make sure it's got volume, and then obviously I have to like the chart. It has to be extended away from previous resistance, because that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for it to get extended away from previous resistance. We're looking to feel the top, hit the reversal all the way to test that previous resistance, right? How often do you see that happen? Let's take a look at just some other charts from today. Let me pull some up here. I had listed a bunch of them earlier. I mean, like EQT was one of them, right? So we have that previous resistance. You could even say it was yesterday's close area, or you could even use down here. But we were attempting to get, I mean, it literally went to yesterday's close over here if you really wanted to hold it that long. Let me scroll up over here. I have a bunch of stocks that I had listed out earlier. Oh, here we go. Oh. Let's check these. So COF. So big move up. As you can see, previous resistance all the way down here, comes back down, tries to test it, and then tries to move back up, right? And here's sloppy seconds. FCX. Previous resistance right here. It's funny, it's using today's close as support. But previous resistance here, big move up, finally get the move down, tried to come down and test it, and there you go. So some decent, some strong type stocks today. TRIP, here we go, here's a good one. So this one didn't really have too much preview. I would have probably tried to use yesterday's high, so not sure I would have even got into a trade like this, obviously. But again, as you see, previous resistance here, move through, come back down, and this one actually went all the way back down. I believe there was even more. Okay, here it is finally. Okay, so pins. Scroll over here. Look at, dang, look at the move pins made. Interesting. So the one that I think I had saw was this one here. So previous resistance, big move up, and then it tried to come back down, and this thing was just strong the rest of the day. You're going to run into stocks that are like this. I mean, it still did give you a pretty good pullback, but that thing was just a beast the rest of the day. INO. Similar. I didn't trade this one. Somebody else did, but I don't really know where I would have even looked. But let's see, I don't really see where there's any like real intense move except for like right here, maybe even like here. But this kind of looks grindy. So I mean, if you really want to scroll in, I guess you could say there's kind of an extension here, previous resistance right here. Get the move up, come back down, test it before it moves higher, right? I mean, you're going to see the same thing over and over and over again. CRC. This one I actually was jealous I couldn't trade. The range wasn't that great, but I really liked the move right off the bat. Previous resistance right here, move through, nice extension through the whole dollar, comes back down, tests it, and this was kind of a fader the rest of the day. CRC, EQT, we already looked at that one. AKER, I don't know why this one was brought up. Let's check later in the day. Oh, yep, there it is. So again, as you can see, clear previous resistance right here, move up through, and then we get the pull back down, and eventually descending triangle a little bit here, and then you finally get that retest of that previous resistance. CAPR. So same thing. This one, oops, wrong button. No. CIPR. Previous resistance from pre-market right here. It also tried to use it a little bit here before coming down and then busting through. Comes up, comes all the way up, and VWAP actually came up pretty quick because that's where all the volume was. There wasn't that much volume before it. But as you can see, it still did attempt to come down and try to test that area before continuing. And if you want to pull the fibs out on pretty much all of these, you're going to see the same thing, right? Go from start of the move to the end of the move. And sometimes I'll even just use that resistance point. But you'll see that the moves always come down past that 50%. Let's move it down to the start of the move because that's not right. So start of the move right here. And as you'll see, 50%. You almost always get about that 50% from the top of the move. So my current system right now is trying to get 40%, right? I'm trying to say that I'm good enough to try to hit the tops, that I'm looking to get about 40% of the move when it gives typically about 50% of the move back on most pullbacks. We'll take a look at a couple more of these and then we'll move on. ENSV. This is a nice one. It's actually a really good one. So previous resistance clear here, right? Tapped it in pre-market 3 times. Comes up beginning of the day, busts right through it. Nice big clean move. This is a penny stock, right? Which, if you guys are into penny stocks, we're in beta testing right now with the scanners. But Brian came out with some penny stocks, and it was pulling up some pretty awesome charts today. And we were discussing on how to trade them because you obviously need a lot more shares. But these make the same moves, guys. The floats on these are just as good. I never knew that a lot of penny stocks had good floats. Like I think ENSV has a pretty good float. I think it was like 40 mil, maybe even, some of them had like 80 mil that I was looking at. This one has 34 mil. So that's a respectable float, right? And look at the volume that these things get. So when they make these moves, you're going to get the same kind of pullbacks. They're just penny stocks. It was actually kind of interesting to start following these today when he had released that beta. So if you guys are interested, keep an ear out. I'm going to be doing an update on those as well at some point. But again, same thing. Previous resistance, bust through, get the pullback, test it. As you can see, it tried to kind of hold here, use it as support, but then it ultimately failed. And then obviously over here doesn't really matter. You'd already be out of the trade. ENSV HUSA, I think this was another penny stock. Yep, same kind of deal. This one was actually had a little bit of a fake out, right? Went through, faked out, came back under. You can almost just use a new resistance here from the top, comes back up perfectly, hits the top, comes back down, tests that area before trying to go back up. And ultimately, sloppy seconds, tries to go high a day, doesn't, and then look at the failure that it gets, right? These are the same looking charts. They're just a lot cheaper priced. That's it. Just out of curiosity, the float on HUSA, this is an energy group. 76 million. So very respectable. For some reason, I just always thought all penny stocks were just trash companies they were like low float pump and dumps, but it doesn't seem to always be the case. NAKD, we definitely would not have probably traded this. PEIX, another penny stock. I'm assuming he posted that because of here, but we would not have probably traded that. QDEL, check later in the day. As you can see, this is a much higher priced one. So he was just trying to play high of day here. Only a couple more here. RTW, another penny stock. Oh, look at this one. Look at the volume that just randomly comes into this one, just like normal ones. So this one is a little bit harder to read because if you want to use previous resistance, there's not really that much to go off of because there's like no volume, and then the volume just kind of comes out of nowhere. So, I mean, you can it looks like the most used area was right here. It's kind of tough to really use something like this, but again, big push through, comes back down, tests that area, and you can see the volume just completely dies off again. I mean, all the charts just kind of look the same regardless. Let's look at one more, SYBX. Not really the best one to look at. TRNX, another penny stock, same difference. This is a perfect one. Oops, wrong button. Previous resistance, look at that, got tapped 5 times on a 2-minute, right? So about 10 minutes worth of tapping this resistance area at 30. Finally gets the bust through, comes all the way up, and then look at this, pulls all the way back down, pops back up, sloppy seconds, comes back down and retests it again. So, I mean, you see it all the time. That's the benefit of being in the market for so long, because you start to see things over and over and over and over again. And then you just start to become less and less scared of trading them, because you have a high probability in your head of what's going to happen, right? If you just showed up today and were brand new to the market, you'd have no idea. You'd just be looking at a chart and you'd be like, what the hell am I looking at, right? But now that we kind of know what we're doing, we've been here for a while and we've been watching these charts over and over and over again. Like, you start to see the same thing happen over and over again. So then you just start to find ones that you can play and you just start playing them, right? You find your edge and you trade it over and over and over and over again. That's what trading is. Trading is boring. Trading is meant to be boring. Trading is doing the same thing over and over and over again, being consistent. You have risk management in place and you find a profitable strategy and you're consistent with it, you're going to be profitable, right? Because you're consistently doing something profitable. It's that simple. And as long as you keep risk management in play, you're never going to lose all your money. So if you do those two things, risk management, don't lose all your money, and find something profitable and be consistent at it, you're going to consistently make money and you're not going to lose all your money. Right? They're the two things I'm always going to preach. Those are my two main things. You do those two things, you're going to figure this out. Risk management will keep you alive, if you're new, long enough to get to the point where you can be consistently profitable. It's that simple. It's that simple. All right, let me catch back up. CMEG still hasn't answered me. What? CMEG? Come on. It's okay. Interactive brokers? Let me show you this. I'm just going one person at a time. And Todd, I already got some room out. Portal login. Oh, I got to do the little phone authentication thing here. If and when it pops up. There. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. It's pretty cool with IB. You have to log in, give them your fingerprint sensor through your phone to log into your online account. Okay. Pending items, 1. All right, look at this. April 8th, under review. So I was with Interactive Brokers before. So all I did was come in here and I had to change like my address, and I don't even remember. It was like one other thing. And since April 8th, they still haven't approved my account. And I've contacted them twice. It's April 24th about, like, what's going on? And they're like, we're just really behind because of the virus and all that stuff. So trust me, you think CMEG's slow. US brokers are slow too when it comes to stuff like this. I think 20 is your lucky number. You should play the lottery. Why is 20 my lucky number? Oh, 20 viewers. I gotcha. How do you scroll in? So there's a couple different ways. You can do it with your mouse. So first off, right click. Go to chart area, config area. This is not right. Right click, go to configure. Bottom left here, where it says use mouse wheel to scroll instead of zoom. So if you have it checked, it's going to scroll on the chart. See how it scrolls back and forth? But if you uncheck it, and then you can change it from fast to slow, how fast you want it to zoom in. Now you can zoom in. But if you want to zoom in on a specific part, you hold shift and then left click and highlight, and you'll zoom in on that specific area if that's what you're asking. Thanks again for the info. No problem. No problemo. CPAH, someone made 16K, not going to name that person. I'm sure that was Ross. How? I mean, my chart's a little skewed, so I'm sure it was right here on this 20 cents. How do you make 16K off of 20? That's just crazy, the amount of shares. And look at this. Like, what even made them get into it? There was like no volume. Whatever. I'm not gonna start going down that path. Oh, yeah, get the vodka out. No, man, rum. It's not vodka. Seems like the DT after the move is a safer, more defined risk play. Yes, 100%. The only problem with DTs is they don't always happen, right? Like take EQT, for instance, straight up, pretty much straight down. This happens more often than you think, especially with the volatility at the beginning of the day. COF, I'm just going to scroll through some of these charts again. COF, really no DT there, just kind of up move, down. FCX. This one kind of had a descending triangle, right? Formed with support here, lower highs, and then flush. So, I mean, if you really want to find a descending triangle there, you could. Pins, that was later in the day. I'm just looking at the beginning of the day. EQT, we already looked at that one. CAPR. This one actually looks like a descending triangle, and then it failed, right? HUSA. This one, actually, you could almost consider this a descending triangle, but I mean, that wasn't really a big para. You're really looking for the big para move and then the descending triangle. And it's like, you can't really consider this a descending triangle because it already came back down to that previous resistance area. So it's really hard. You could consider this a descending triangle because see how many times it tests this support level and it keeps making lower highs. So and then as you can see, you do get the flush there. So they're definitely there. They're definitely much more set risk, right? Because then you're just risking off of either you could risk off of the most recent pivot point, because as it squeezes tight, you could risk off the recent pivot point. You could risk off high of day, which is what you're supposed to do on a descending triangle. So there's lots of different ways to play descending triangles, but the main way is to risk 1-to-1 off of high of day. It's that simple, right? So 1-to-1, say you got in on this candle, say at 22. High of day was 27, so 5 cents. So you would need 17 cents, and it got right to 17 cents. So you basically, if you would have got out on this little spike down, you would have been. And it actually looks like it ended up closing down there at 17 cents. Yeah. So if you were super patient, you could have definitely got the full 1-to-1 there. Sorry, did you say Brian was adding pennies as a beta? I wonder if the $100 month plan will include that. Do you happen to know? I think we actually asked that today. Here, let me pull up the scanners just so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. But I think he was thinking about possibly making the penny stocks like a completely separate plan. So like right now we have the elite and the platinum. I think he might be including that in... I think it would always come with the platinum scanners, but I think like the elite, and then there's going to be a second one that might be just for pennies. I don't know. I can't give you a direct answer. I just know that that was kind of what we may have thought is going to happen, or that's kind of what he was saying. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe if he pops on here a little bit later, we can ask him. Can you get on his live streams every morning? He walks his trades through as he goes. That is true. Every morning, while I trade, I do talk right through my trades. And you can go back and watch all my live streams. Every time I do trade, you can look at the title and you can see the tickers that I traded that day. And if you click on the live stream, I actually timestamp when I start the trades. So you don't have to sit there and watch the whole live stream. You can literally just click the timestamp in the description and it'll take you right to the starts of the trades. I opened my CMEG account April 6th and just funded and opened today. Nice. That's actually not a great thing because you're gonna get double charged for you're gonna get charged for the full month of April, and you're only gonna get what, 4 trading days? 27, 28, 29, 30, yeah. And then the first will start, and then you're gonna get charged for next month. Kind of sucks. I wish you would have maybe told me that earlier. I would have told you to just try to wait until the first of next month. But hey, you got 4 trading days to make your trading platform fees. How do you make the chart go up and down vertically? You can do that by right click, configure. Here it is. Right click. Am I covering it? So you can see it. So right click and move in price area to zoom in out vertically. So make sure that's checked and then hit OK. And you come over to the price column and you right click and then you can drag up and down. See how, so you can extend it. And then if you want to zoom afterwards, you can do that. Then you could even do it a little bit more. The only problem is it's fixed. So it's always going to be centered where it is. So you can only go like I can't go here and then like go up in the chart. So I would have to bring it down a little bit. Yeah, I know. CMEG is still a little bit behind just from people switching over from SureTrader, and then with this quarantine stuff going on, it's a lot going on right now. I mean, I just showed you guys, I reapplied to Interactive Brokers on April 8th. and I'm still pending. So and they keep telling me they're expediting the process and all that stuff, and well, I'll believe it when it finally happens. All right, I believe we caught up on all the questions there. Are you I didn't even see this, James. Are you superstitious with trading and stuff around your place or shirt colors or whatever? No, I am not. I own a lot of the same. I actually, like this gray shirt, it's just, I forgot I had those stickers on there. I have like 3 of these in gray, pink, and blue. And every day I wake up, I shower, I go into my room, and whatever shirt is laying on top in the dresser, I just grab. You'll see in my streams, like multiple days in a row, I'll wear like a pink shirt. But if you notice, like some of them have like stains on them. Not stains, but they're usually like dirt that I just never really came out from working in the yard and stuff. But I'll have like a pink shirt on, and the next day I'll have a pink shirt on. Sometimes you can tell they're different like shades of pink just from either sweating in them or, whatever the case may be to change the color a little bit. I don't know. I'm a pretty frugal person when it comes to myself. I'm not really, into fashion and all that good stuff. I always wear a hat for the most part. The one thing I do go a little bit more expensive on is my boxers, my socks, and my shoes. To me, those are like the 3 things that I feel need to be comfortable, the most comfortable. And I don't know. Those are the 3 things I've always spent just a little bit more money on to get what I like. But shirts and pants, I don't know. I've never really cared. To be completely honest, my mom actually bought me there was a 3-pack of these gray shirts, and I really liked them. They're like super soft. So I asked her where she got them, and I went and bought the pink and the blue ones, the 3-pack of each of those. So yeah. If you guys have not watched me trade live, especially with the kids, it's a sight. It's a sight, and I highly recommend watching it in the mornings. It can be fun sometimes. This morning was the first time in a while that I didn't actually have the kids, period. It was nice. It was a nice, relaxed morning. It was completely boring because we didn't get any trades and the market just kind of sucked this morning for our strategy. But at the same time, it was just so nice. It was so nice to have the relaxation. Look at us, 23. We need 12 more people. Everybody hit the like button. There should be at least 23 likes right now because there's 23 people in here. If you hit it, hopefully it will send the YouTube algorithm out there into Fantasyland. It will make more people join. Maybe they'll see it says giveaway at 35 viewers. They'll see that we're closer to 35 viewers. They will join, and we can do this giveaway. I want to do this giveaway. And if you really want to spice things up, donate $50. I'll take a shot. Please, I upped it. I don't even know. Todd, if you're still here, how did we get to me taking shots for $40 a piece? Do you remember? I remember, the only thing I remember when that started was you telling me that I should start streaming the movie Grinders. Grinders. Oh my God. Oh boy. The movie Rounders. I don't even remember that was all I remember. You saying stream the movie Rounders, something about donations. So yeah, and then I don't know, it segued into me taking shots for $40. I don't know where $40 came from. I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not taking shots for less than $50 today. Maybe Zishan, you said 20 a shot. How did it get to 40? Oh, that's right. Zishan did say, if I pay you $40 right now, you'll take a shot. I don't know how he even came up with that number, but I remember already feeling good from my one drink of this. As you can tell, I'm already feeling good from, this is my second one, but I do remember that now. It just like randomly came back to me. Zishan said and then he's the one that never actually did it, but I'm glad you didn't because you said you have credit card debt. Pay that first. You get that stimulus money, use that to pay down that debt. I'm not getting greedy. I just don't want to take shots. People really want to see me take shots. They can They can give me some of their stimulus money. How'd you do in poker this week? Tell me not to be greedy. 24. What do you guys want to talk about? Anything? I feel like we actually talked a lot about the market and strategy. Like, this was probably one of the more productive Friday night live streams that we've had in a while. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy with it. That was actually pretty cool. I was getting in here to check the delay. Minus 1500, you crapper. That's not too bad. What was that? It was like a 3-second delay. I'm not on my VPN, so that's why. So if you guys want to find out my my thing. Oh, that's what I was going to do. The scanners. So first off, I just randomly saw Todd again. Thank you, dude. Patreon. Todd was my first Patreon subscriber. It was amazing. I've never had a Patreon person, and now I do. It's pretty awesome. Any suggestions for hotkeys on Traders Pro? What is Traders Pro? Is noise. Very nice, Ishan. I don't know what Traders Pro is. Are you talking about DOS? Or is that Sterling? Is that what Sterling is? I mean, the hotkeys should... Oh, well, that's what we're on. That's what this is. I say DOS is the same for every broker. But yeah, I mean, what do you want to know? Do you have any specific questions for hotkeys? Like, I can just go through. I mean, here's all my hotkeys. They're just in the form of buttons. But as we'll see what Josh wants to know as far as the hotkeys go. Here's the scanner. So the new scans are volume surge, float rotation, the 52-week high, low, the 200-day moving average crossover, and the 50-day moving average crossover. So some pretty decent additions as far as the scans go. And the float rotation one's pretty good. Those are mainly going to be your low float stocks, obviously, getting the float rotation. But it's pretty cool to know which ones are rotating through their float, because that means they're pretty bullish. The volume surge is basically looking for stocks that are headed towards high of day. And then just like this one probably would have been a perfect candidate. And then you get that volume surge, and there you go. So it's going high of day plus the volume surge. Boom, it hits that scanner. 200-day moving average crossover, 50-day moving average crossover, those are pretty self-explanatory. Same with the 52-week high and low. Those are also pretty self-explanatory. The watch lists are all the same. And here's the penny scans. So you still get the plus minus I3, and then he just put a P on the end because it's for the penny scans. You get the gappers up and down, and then you also get the one for the unusual volume, which is pretty good because a lot of the penny stocks, they don't move every single day. So when they're moving, usually they have unusual volume for what they usually trade on a given day. So that's a good way to see which ones are active for the day. This is just the beta. We're all testing them out right now on the team, within Team ISW. If you're on Team ISW, which is a possibility for anybody, if you're interested in that, just contact me. Email's down in the description. All the good stuff. It is a little bit more pricey to be part of the team, but you do get the platinum scanners with it, as well as being part of the team in the chat rooms with us every single day. All that good stuff. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on it. It's definitely worth its weight. Anybody here, Mr. Gifford, Jeff is in there now. David's been in there. Thomas has been in there. It's one of those things where you get in there for like 3 months and you learn so much that you don't need the room after that. Then you just downgrade back to the platinum scanners. But you learn everything you need to know. Plus you get access to the learning center, where you can go in there on the weekends and just really dive into all the stuff that's on there. It's totally worth its weight in the course of 3 months. As far as the price goes, it's something that Brian doesn't like to advertise because it is kind of a team thing. He also doesn't like to just let anybody in. So it's one of those things. That's why I said to email me. And if you want to ask and talk more about it, feel free to do so. Twitter, Discord, email, whichever way you want to message me if you want to talk about it. But it's definitely worth it. I'm in there every day with GDT, Kevin Avery, Brian himself. And it's like, I want to say 1, 2, Jeff's in there, Vic, Ty. I would say like there's probably about like 10 max of us in there total. So it's really focused on high quality versus quantity. And like I said, Brian would much rather it just be a core group of guys that are there for the right reasons. And you have so many people that come in for like 3 to 6 months at a time. Constantine's in there as well. But it's one of those things where you just learn so much because you get to literally ask people that are so dedicated to this every single day any question that you might have. It's almost like doing this live stream on a daily basis. Like you're in the room, any question you have, just boom, ask it, and you get answers from all of us all at the same time. Like everyone's willing to help each other. It's just a really great environment. Then you obviously get the live alerts. Like if I go to the chat here, I can show you guys kind of what you see. And that's the other thing too. This is in beta right now. We're just kind of testing it. But there is, if you are just a Platinum Scanner member, you're going to have a chat to join, so that anyone who has just the Platinum Scanners, you're going to have a chat as well that will all be in as well. But obviously we're going to be focusing our attention to the team rooms, but we will be there if like just kind of like a hangout type chat. Obviously we'll be there to answer questions, but it'll be more so like when things slow down. So in the live room, as you can see, this is kind of where all the alerts happen. It's not going to let me scroll up too much further because when you exit and get back in, it doesn't let you go back too much. The history that isn't there. But you can see this is Brian. He's basically just, killing it per usual. The dude is just nonstop all day for the most part. And he just alerts everything and kills everything. It's pretty much what he does. So that's pretty much all I wanted to go over for the scanners. But yeah, it's pretty cool additions that they made there with the crossovers, the float rotation. There are things that I won't use specifically. I just use the intensity scanners, but I will probably be adding the penny scans just to keep an eye on them. So when I do get on IB, hopefully I'll have some of those available to trade, because that is what I noticed. I scrolled through pretty much every penny stock that popped up today on CMEG, and they didn't have shares to short on any of them. So that's definitely something, if you're on CMEG, it would not benefit you. Dang, we are almost at 25 likes. Maybe for next week, but talk about how you determine resistance and support. We can talk about that right now, man. We've got nothing else to talk about at the moment. You're the next question in line. So support and resistance. Like, are you looking intraday, daily? What do you mean? Are you looking to trade it during the day? Or are you looking for like just long term, like looking for key areas on the daily? Intraday? Okay. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? So what I like to look at as far as resistance, let's see if we can find one where we had a pretty obvious one. I don't know which ones I went through already that had some pretty decent areas. But I mean, here you go. Here's a good support level. What you're looking for is you're just looking for an area that gets hit a lot of times and it's having problems going through that level, right? So this 5424 area, we'll just say 20 to be safe, just a round, but say 5420 gets hit 1, 2, 3, you could almost say 4, 5 times here. Let's scroll over, see what happens. And this is exactly what usually happens. It doesn't want to break down further than 5420. So all the shorts that are continuing to get in looking for this level to break, it doesn't break. So what happens? It just goes up from there because it didn't want to go down any lower, right? Same thing on the other side with resistance. Let's see if we can find something. Sorry, it's midnight, so this stupid thing's going to keep popping up. It's not the best. See if the SPY has anything good. Scroll out here on the SPY. So the SPY, I mean, and that's the other thing too. It doesn't have to be exact. That was actually a really good example. But like, look here. Like if you just look left, I always say that when you're getting in, because Brian actually trades, all of his charts are zoomed out pretty far, right? They all kind of look like this. So if you're looking at a chart zoomed out, you can really start to see those key levels. And even here, I mean, look at what the SPY did. It went right up to yesterday's highs and it bounced off of it going into the close there. But look, like if you're looking down here, when this was coming down, after it gapped up in the morning, you could see these key levels from yesterday where it kept hitting low of day, right? This is going to get so annoying. And there you go. I tried to use it as support multiple times today, right? So just zooming out even from the day, and if you, let me just show you my full screen just for a second here. You'll see the chart that I have next to my 2-minute chart is the 60-minute chart. Because what that's doing is I can be zoomed in here on the 2-minute chart just like this, about around here. But I can look over here at the 60-minute chart, and I can like really find some good areas. So let's go back to, what was it? Was it FCX? Well, I mean, even this one, this isn't the one, but this one has a pretty key area too. And then look here on, I can, just looking at the 60-minute, I can draw this line right here. Look at this pretty key level at 860. And look, it just transfers over here. So I'm actually using from almost a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's giving me that line. And look, it came up, tried to test it, came up again, tried to test it, came up again, tried to test it, and it just couldn't get there because there's a heavy resistance area there. And you can use it for support too. And sometimes you'll even see key areas that are used on both sides. And a lot of times you'll see that on the daily. Actually, on here on FCX, you kind of see it. Look at this line here. It's kind of used as support, 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 and then over here now it's being used as resistance, resistance, resistance. So really it's that simple. Just find key areas that were touched multiple times and you have a support or you have a resistance. That's it. And it's pretty cool how easy it works. And you can actually do it. You can use that as pivot points as well. Oh, gee. So just to give a quick explanation of what I'm talking about with pivot points. Say this comes up. I wouldn't have obviously traded this, but say we enter a position here. Let's zoom in. Oh, I'm about to be done. So say we get a move up here, and this actually looks like a pretty decent support line here based off of this move, right? It comes down, test, 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 and it keeps testing it. And each time it tests it, it also keeps making a lower high, right? So what's that mean? Descending triangle, right? We have a descending triangle here. It completes the descending triangle and completely flushes. So, whoa, what just happened there? It's like some auto. Oh, because it's updating its highs and lows. So what you could do now, it's coming down, is use pivot points. So what's a pivot point? To me, I consider a pivot point anytime the price comes down and then pops back up and then comes back down and goes lower than it just was. Now the top of that bounce is a pivot point. So as this is moving down, 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 flushes through the descending triangle, you're holding your position, and say you're not going to exit your position until a pivot point breaks, right? That's your goal here. So let's actually go to the 1 minute chart, because sometimes these are easier to go back and look at. Make sure you see the picture correctly. So coming down, coming down, coming down, bounce up, and then as it bounces up here, obviously this never really goes lower, bounces up, and then bam, right here. So we get the move back up, comes back down, busts through. So now we have a pivot point right there, 845. So we just went from our stop being break even at this point because we flushed through to now being at 845. Comes back down, bounces back up, comes back down and goes lower. Now we have a new pivot point, top of this candle, 843. Comes down, bounces up, comes back down, goes lower. Now we have a new pivot point. I hate that so much. our new pivot point is right here at 839. Comes down, it pops back up after it went lower, test, doesn't come back down lower, and goes up, pokes through. So there's our stop right there. Right over 839 would be our stop. So looking to get 1-to-1 on a trade, right? Say you got in at 850, high of day was here on this candle, 854, so 4 cents. So you would have been just looking for 846, but look, you would have got 840, right? That's almost twice the amount that you would have gotten just going 1-to-1 normally, but by using the pivot system, you actually ended up getting out a lot lower. Now keep in mind, look, this just poked through just a little bit. Imagine if neither of these candles, or all three of these candles wouldn't have poked through and it just kind of kept going sideways like this and it would have kept going. Let's just say it did for this sake. Finally comes down, still hasn't went lower, right? We're looking for the pivot point to go lower, which is under this key area. You can see it starts using it as support. There you go. So now look at this key resistance area, how many times this thing gets touched. And then now this turns into a key support area. Look, it's also from over here too. Remember, look left. Look, you can even see it was used over here as well twice. OMG, this thing is getting annoying. Usually it goes away a couple minutes after. But once this breaks, now we have a new pivot point, right? So we go back up to the highest point of that most recent bounce, which is right here. Boom. Comes down, pops back up, comes down, does not go lower, pops back up, comes down, goes lower, right? Never breaks our pivot point up here. Let's get rid of this line because this one is minute at this point. So it comes down, never goes lower again, comes up, comes down, goes lower. All right, so now we got a new pivot point right there. Comes down, goes lower, pops back up, and then pops through. So now, if these couple candles never happened, we went from getting out at 846 all the way down here to 830. So we went from making 4 cents to making what we were up at 50 to making 20 cents. That's 5 times more just by using the pivot exit system, right? They can be powerful. They can be powerful for sure. So hopefully that explains what I'm looking for with the pivot system. So kind of went off on a little tangent there, but hopefully I answered your question and gave you a little bonus there with the pivots. I'm very interested in pivots, and I plan to use them a lot in the future when I start to scale out of my trades. Lately, the market producing too many U-shaped moves. Yeah, the market has been, the last 2 months has been in a very, very weird state. We are definitely not trading to what I consider to be normal, per se. The SPY rallied at the end of the day. I'll tell you that. Look at that. It's like right around lunchtime, this thing just said, yeah, we are going. I don't understand it. I don't really understand how the SPY is at 283 right now. Makes no sense to me. I mean, like we had said, yeah, key support level there. As you can see, support, little fake out, eat up some liquidity, come back down, try it again, and then that's what happens. I mean, people make a living off of just trading support and resistance, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Like, I mean, look at this trend line it made. This is what people trade day in and day out, and I'm just not a fan of it. It's not really what I do. But look at this. It just keeps on tapping that same line, right? You have these 4 candles, get a little extended away from it, come back down, test it again, and just I think it was so strong. But people, the technical traders out there, that's what they're doing. And I'm sure you could pull up the 80 EMA on some of these. That thing is so annoying. Just out of curiosity, what the heck happened there? Let's change this to the 8. I wonder if it's because we were zoomed in or something. Yeah, it's trying to keep everything on the screen. I mean, not really. Let's see what the 20 looks like, just out of curiosity. Change the color just so it's not the same. Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand why people look at EMAs, to be honest. It's just not my thing anymore. I used to play the crosses and stuff like that, but it's hard to read them. You end up getting in late a lot of times, and over time, when you start to see the same things over and over again, you start to kind of realize that the EMAs are a little history based. But I'm not going to get into that. So, do we have any more questions? Give me some questions. If not, I don't really have any reason to stick around. I am going to try to get some videos out this weekend. It's supposed to rain all weekend, so when I get some relaxation time away from the kids, I'm going to do my best to. I'm actually going to be starting a series on DOS. Just going over. I'm going to pick one part of DOS, and I'm going to make a playlist of just learning how to use DOS. To the best of my knowledge. I'm going to literally start from, I'm going to pull this up. Let's go back to, so I'm going to pull up the main screen. I'm going to go into, say, like trade montage, and I'm going to have a video literally dedicated to the montage of DOS. And I was going to do a full video of just like a one-stop shop for DOS, like everything DOS. But then I realized that would probably be like an hour long, if not longer. So I really didn't want to do that because I feel like a lot of people would just see that it's like an hour long and just not want to click on it. So I decided to not do that, and I'm going to break it down into sections. So that way it'll be just like a little 4 or 5 minute video, maybe 10 minutes, depending on, what we're talking about, but it'll really go into depth on every specific subject. So if somebody's searching for something specific, like how to do the hot buttons, how to set up a montage, how to set up a chart, I'll actually be able to have a video kind of dedicated specifically to that. So hopefully over the course of time, who knows how long it'll take, but I'll get the full DOS experience all kind of recorded and out there. So I look forward to doing that. And along the way, hopefully we'll get some questions on the videos to do specific things, because it'll help me know what you guys are looking for as far as information on certain parts of it. And we'll go from there. So it's kind of my plan with that. How do you change to a 3-minute chart? On DOS, you cannot. You have 1, 2, 5, 15, 30, 60 day and week. I don't understand why. It's just how DOS is. I don't really, all the things that they offer, I don't get why you can't add. I lied. They added this. Look at that. There you go. So on the chart, on the toolbar, just click the little time clock looking thing, and there you go. 3 minutes. I didn't know they added that. That was not there before. They even added the 10 minutes. So they added the 3 and the 10 minute in there. Interesting. I'm glad you asked that. See, I learned something. That's the whole point of this. I love it. I didn't even know that they did that. It used to just be what they had up here on the toolbar was exactly what was in here. But there you go. You learn something new every day. $99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. Take one down, pass it around, 98 bottles of beer on the wall. Anybody watch Ozark? If you do, you'll know what I'm talking about. 98 bottles of beer on the wall, 98 bottles of beer. Take one down, pass it around, 97 bottles of beer on the wall. 97 bottles of beer on the wall, 97 bottles of beer. Take one down, pass it around, 96 bottles of beer on the wall. Sure, did you see the end of season 3? Going to watch what? Ozark? See you, Thomas. Have a great weekend, man. I'll obviously probably talk to you at some point. Kevin, good night as well. I'm most likely going to get out of here unless anybody has any other questions. I'll give you till 12:15. No questions by 12:15. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate you all stopping by. Have a great weekend. If I don't talk to you, And I'll see you guys Monday morning. So appreciate you stopping by. It's always nice to get this last little dose. We didn't get to 35. We're getting so close. Every time we get so close, we get to like 25. We just can't get that last little push. We'll get there. I'm not the best singer. I'm not. I do not have a singing voice. I have a good commentating voice. I don't have a good singing voice. My favorite song to sing, I would say, is You Are My Sunshine. Because my oldest, he loves it. My youngest does too. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, blue chips, how much I love trading. Please don't take my money away. Please don't take my money away. Oh boy, I might have to go back and listen to that. Take a Sharpie and mark your glass with marks that say things like break into song and later deep confessions. Yeah, so like right here, break into song, right here, break into deep confessions. Ouchie. I think I have like a plexiglass splinter or whatever, like one, you can't see it, but I used to get them all the time. Fiberglass, not plexiglass, fiberglass from one of my tools, and they hurt. You can't see them, but they're in there. It sucks. It's like one of the worst things ever. Good night, Mr. Gifford. Appreciate you stopping by as always. You guys are awesome. Have a good weekend. I will definitely see you guys Monday morning. I will be here waiting for this quarantine to be over so my kids can go back to school. Oh, that'll be the day. I'm getting better at this trading thing too, so I'm excited for that as well. Got about 20 seconds here. Any last second questions? If not, I am going to get out of here. I've appreciated all of you. We'll see you guys Monday morning. Can't wait to see you then. It's been a great, it's going to be a rainy weekend. I'm not looking forward to that. I was really looking forward to getting some seed down on my lawn, see if I can get some extra goodies out of it. But it's not looking like it's going to happen. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys Monday morning. Peace.